Hi guys, so it's my last day in Narbonne. I am heading to the train station in about 10 minutes. I'm getting on an overnight bus from Narbonne going all the way to Benidorm in Spain. So going from France to Spain. It arrives in Benidorm at 5:30 in the morning. And my friends Maya and Ian will be picking me up. So Maya and Ian you might know from Casa Kesa restaurant in Kigali. They set that up. So I'm going to go and hang out with them for a little bit. As you can see, I am very sun-kissed from the beach the other day. I'm a little bit nervous about the bus just because it's about 10 hours, 10 and a half hours. I'm hoping that I will sleep through most of it, but I don't know, so I might arrive absolutely knackered, or I might be okay, but we're going to find out in about 10 hours time, so let's go. I am definitely going to miss Narbonne. It's not many places that boast a castle outside your kitchen window when you're making coffee in the morning. It's been a really beautiful place to stay. Martine packed me off with some of her favourite sweets from Asia. This one is a chewy sweet made from longan, which is like lychee. If you've ever made sweets from agar jelly, it's that sort of texture. The second is a sesame seed snack, full of energy. Then we headed down to the train station to catch my bus. The bus I was taking originated in Sofia, Bulgaria, and was headed to Lagos in Portugal, not to be confused with Lagos in Nigeria, which I was for a brief moment. The windows were really large and provided a great view of the sunset, but I'm not sure I'd want to ride the same bus during the daytime, as you couldn't control the shade on your side unless you were sitting directly next to a curtain. I imagine it gets a bit hot once the sun's up. I'm about to explain some of the downsides to travelling long distance by bus, but I do want to say how good the drivers were on this trip. They drove really well, and I felt they were always watching out for us. We stopped fairly regularly at service stations, so that people could pop to the loo, stretch their legs, and stock up on snacks. And they always took a full head count afterwards. I never worried they might leave me behind. I think I nodded off a couple of times, but definitely didn't get much sleep. It was really wonderful coming in through southern Spain and seeing all the little whitewashed villages and the mountains, so different from the south of France. This is my first glimpse of Benidorm on the left. I've made it to Finisterre. It was a bit of a wild ride, I'm not going to lie. It was supposed to be 10 hours, but I think it's a little bit more than 10 hours. Some things were really great, some things not so much. I was travelling with a company called Unibus. I'll put the full name below because I can't quite remember it, but it's a Bulgarian company. And it was pretty much the only option for me. So all of the travel apps like, is it Omino? Oh, I can't remember. I have apps for trains, I have apps for buses, I have like universal apps that are supposed to be able to calculate everything. None of them really do. Many of the apps are really, really bad at figuring out how to change trains. So you can start in, like say you're starting in Narbonne and you're trying to get to somewhere like Alicante, and it will come up saying that there are no train options for that, which is crap because clearly there are. I mean, clearly you can get on a train at one city and make some changes and get off a train at the other city. But, you know, for many of the routes across Europe, I'm finding that train apps just can't quite compute that. So they just come back saying, oh, there are no options. So often buses are the only really reliable way of getting from one place to another. They're also a hell of a lot cheaper than trains. I mean, unbelievably cheaper. Like when I went from The Hague to Brussels, it was £12 instead of like £40. But you pay for that in time because they always take a lot longer. And you also pay for it in comfort because, you know, bus seats are not always as comfortable as train seats, or, you know, even if they do kind of feel about the same level of comfort, you're going to be sitting on them for a hell of a lot longer. So you're really going to notice the little kinks in the seating arrangements. Anyway, this bus company that I used, on the upside, their seats were actually much more comfortable than Flexibus. So I took Flexibus from The Hague to Brussels. It was only about 3-4 hours. My bum was hurting by the end of that. I was not enjoying myself. But this one, I was on it for 10 hours. And I'd say that, you know, of the two, I was much more comfortable in these ones. Like, my bum didn't start hurting until about the 6th or 7th hour. But there were some other problems. The air conditioning did not work, so it was like travelling in a sauna across like southern Europe. But the big one, the big one with this company is I almost missed that bus. They are useless about giving you directions as to where to catch the bus. On the ticket it says that the bus stop is directly outside the train station, and when you step out of the train station at Narbonne, there is indeed a signpost that says bus stop. So why would you not stop there? Even the pin on the map that they send you shows it directly in front of the train station opposite Carrefour supermarket. So that's where I was waiting. But I was so lucky because Martine and Rory, my really good friends, came with me to see me off. And one of them stayed with me outside the train station whilst the other went up to the car park where they know that like international cross-border buses usually go from, because they're like looking at this map saying, yeah, but I've never seen a bus directly outside the train station before. I mean, there is a bus stop, but we've never seen it used. And they were right. The bus did not stop directly outside the train station like it said it did on the ticket and showed it did on the map. It actually stopped much further up the car park. And so me and Martine were sitting there and we saw the bus coming in and indicate and start going up the road, and we ran. That's it, that's it, that's it. Yeah, that's it, that's it. Shit, but it's turning right. Hold on, but is it coming?
Are you sure it's written Union?
Yeah, yeah, that's the one.
So let's see. If it doesn't go straight on, it means we can go.
It's signalling to go the other way. There we go. Shit. And if Rory hadn't been standing there to stop the bus and make it wait for us, I could have missed that. And the bus was already running well over an hour late. I mean, it was seriously late getting started. So we left at least an hour overdue. And if I'd have missed that bus because they were telling me to wait where I shouldn't have been waiting, I would have been livid. So, I mean, they need to work on their communication really badly. But at the same point, it was under 50 quid to travel all the way from Narbonne in the south of France to Benidorm in southern Spain. You could never have got a train for that. You might have got a plane for that, but as I've explained previously, I'm travelling with what is considered a large travel case, so it would have to be checked in. I've got 2 cabin bags. By the time I've added on my extra luggage, flying just isn't worth it for me. I mean, you can get really cheap flights. If you're willing to fly like really early in the morning, you can get flights around Europe for 15 quid or, you know, 20 quid. But the minute you start to add extra luggage, like any normal person who wears clothes and has a toothbrush, then you start to get into really complicated and expensive territory. So buses, I find, are really upfront. Something I have noticed with buses, they give you a luggage limit, but I haven't had a bus company enforce it yet. I've never had one that's actually suggested that they, would actually charge me as I'm putting my cases in the hold. I think they're just grateful to fill seats. They get bums on seats. They take you right across the country. And, I'm pretty good at just sitting on my arse for a while. So for me, it's not a problem. I can look out the window. I tried to get a bit of sleep because it was an overnight bus. It's really hard because it's buses are not a comfortable setup for sleeping. But I got here. And the wonderful thing when I got here, so my friends, they have an Airbnb house and nobody's in it for a couple of days. So they've just parked me in their Airbnb house, which they're still refurbishing. So it's a beautiful little house in Finestrat. So you've got Benidorm, and then the next little bay, the little beach over, is Finestrat. So it's got a beach area, but we're a bit further up in the mountains, in the village of Finestrat. And I'm going to show you around because this is where they've parked me. So imagine you get off an absolutely knackering bus ride, 10-hour bus ride, and you arrive at like 5:30, 6 in the morning. Ian was there to meet me, took me to the beach. I'm going to say, I might be having a few cheeky cigarettes just because I'm on holiday, and we sat there just looking at the sunrise and the beach and having a cigarette and a chat. And then we came to the village and we had traditional breakfast of tomato on like a baguette with some olive oil and a couple of coffees. And it was just such a lovely welcome. And then I passed out on my couch for a little while because there were some people in the Airbnb, so they were just packing up and leaving. So I got about an hour's sleep, and then they brought me down here, and I've got this place for a couple of days, and it's got the most fantastic place to sit and edit, which is fantastic because the past few days I've literally just been walking around taking videos of everything, and I haven't had any time to really go through what I've taken pictures of. Like the whole of Narbonne, I haven't even begun to edit that yet. So I'm just going to sit for a bit, get some sleep, and just get my bearings really and decide what I'm doing next. So let me show you the house that they're renovating. And if you're in Finestrat, this is a fantastic Airbnb, or it will be once it's finished. And I shall leave you contact details below if you want to book it. So yeah, let's go.